we intentionally pivoted to become better and not bigger. And we learned a really valuable lesson during that season, which was that it's more important that we have integrity and feel great and have fun about the work that we do, the people that we do it with. It's not worth it unless you enjoy the people that you're with.
In this episode, I'm joined by Reid Hutchison, COO of HOH Water Technology, a family-owned industrial water treatment provider that's been in business for over 50 years. Reid also serves as their dream manager, helping their team members grow personally and professionally. It was such a great conversation about what it's like to lead a family-owned business, the role culture plays in long-term success, and why truly caring for your people isn't just the right thing to do, but it's also smart business. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Reid, thank you so much for joining us today. So good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Kate.
I am very excited about this conversation because we're gonna dig into culture. We're gonna dig into Dream Manager. There's so much to talk about with you that I know the listeners will really enjoy. And so let's kind of set up to give some context about your organization, HOH Water Technology. Tell us a little bit about the company and what you do.
Yeah, so we are HOH. HOH actually stands for water, hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, H2O. As it's more commonly known. And we help specifically facilities that use water in their heating and cooling processes or in their manufacturing, or that generate wastewater that needs to be treated before discharge. And so we work with facilities providing them chemicals and equipment, and then on-site professional expertise to ensure that they're meeting their goals and objectives, like preserving their assets, their capital equipment, and running efficiently, safely, and all that good stuff. And we were founded in 1968 by my grandfather, my dad's father. And so we are a third generation owned and operated business. We're located out of Chicago, operate primarily in the Midwest. And beyond helping facilities manage their water, we're deeply passionate about investing, rewarding, and giving for lasting impact on our clients, coworkers, community. And so that's what really drives us, propels us, and everything that we do.
I love that. And I feel like you guys are on such an incredible mission, and you're also so intentional about creating great culture, not only in your organization, but just in the community and for the world. Like, you're on such a big mission. In fact, you're a third generation water entrepreneur, which you call a waterpreneur, which I love that title. It's so good. So what does that mean to you? And what do you love about your work and the mission behind it?
For me personally, my story, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't really love and want to work with my dad. Since I was born, I think I was just wired to want to do what my dad did. I played his sport, baseball, played his instrument, trumpet. And so I just wanted to be like my dad. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And that just transcended into, all right, I want to do what my dad does. And so he joined the business with his father in his 20s. And that's how I got here. And in the course of working with him, I really want to, whatever I do, I want it to matter. And so for me, my journey first was who do I want to work with? At the time when I joined, it was, I don't want to miss this opportunity to work with my dad at this stage in his career. And then what we were doing, it took me some time to look at and say, well, what about this work of water treatment really matters? And I've developed a passion for the important role that companies like ours play in a largely behind the scenes role for such a wide range of facilities, whether it's food and beverage companies, hospitals, any kind of commercial building or educational facility. We play a relatively small role behind the scenes, but it becomes really crucial and important, if things go wrong. And so because of it being behind the scenes, I've come to realize that the significant work we do is not only essential for our clients, but for us, what seemed to matter most, not only for me, but for my dad and his dad before that, was caring for all the people that we work with and interact with in the process. And so as Andy, my brother-in-law, and I have become the next generation of owner operators, we really worked hard to clarify what that means for us and to put it in terms that we would never get tired of. talking about or doing over the next, hopefully 10, 20, 30 years. And so we've distilled it down into just this passion for investing, rewarding, and giving. And if we do those three activities well, with intentionality, anybody that we work with is going to be hopefully better off for it. And we don't have big aspirations to be a big company, but I love the way you put it. Like, we do feel that we have a big mission, and, we might not be saving or changing the world, but our world that we operate and interact with, like, we do have a much larger impact than a lot of times you want to realize. And so, our deepest kind of desire is to try and steward that well. And, my dad's mantra for us was, it's about results and relationships. You can't have one without the other. And he did that exceptionally well. And so, we've kind of got this awesome opportunity and responsibility to carry that on and whatever this next stage of business looks like for us.
Yeah, it's your piece of the world, like your small piece of the world, and that's all we can really do. And that's what I love about entrepreneurs, and especially those that really have a heart to serve the community and their people. You say on your website, Reid and I were chatting before I pressed record, and I was on the website. I said, "Oh, I love this." It says that you believe that many companies can run water tests and sell you product, but we believe our people and culture make us different. That obviously is meaningful to me, because as an organization that helps companies with their company culture, when we get to work with leaders who care so deeply about their culture, and you talked a little bit about it with, really caring for your people, and you do the things that some people say they know they should do, but they don't actually do for their people. So how has being intentional about creating a great culture, how has that really helped you grow as an organization?
It's been essential for us, and especially in the last decade, I would say. In the 2012 to 20 range, our company was on a mission to become a national presence in the water treatment field, and so growth really unintentionally sort of replaced our mission or our why, and we started to kind of see the faults and cracks, and also just the lack of fun that comes along with that. And so we intentionally pivoted to become better and not bigger. And we learned a really valuable lesson during that season, which was that for us, it's more important that we have integrity and feel great and have fun about the work that we do and the people that we do it with. And so, as we are in this season that we're in right now, where we are growing again and we've surpassed our previous high water mark, we just keep returning to this lesson that I feel like we learned organizationally, which is that it's not worth it unless you enjoy the people that you're with. And Andy, specifically, as we dialogued about what leadership looked like for us, he used the phrase that he really wants to build a company that he loves working for. And that would be a little bit of like a guiding light for us and a little bit of a litmus test. So are we having fun? Do we love what we're doing? Like, do we believe in this? And then the thought is like, if that's true, then let's look around, and are the people around us feeling the same way? And it's kind of just a simple concept that helps us stay on the straight and narrow. And then the strategy or the bet is that is going to help draw the right talent to the organization. That's going to help us figure out how to serve our clients better, create more value, and be a thriving company, which, to have culture and great relationships without, a commensurate like result, financial or business or otherwise, that doesn't seem right. And so for us, it's just an ongoing dialogue to make sure we're keeping both of these things in check. And that simple mantra, I think, is how we, most conveniently stay grounded in this, building a company we love working for.
What do you and Andy, you're co-creating this together, and what are some of the challenges that you've faced over the years when it comes to not only the culture side, but just the business side too?
Yeah. I mean, we are one of the larger, like, privately owned or independent companies in our field of work, but we are far from the largest, that does this work. So there's some really large public companies, some large, private equity groups. And then And so when we look at the field that we compete in, we have a limited pool of resources we've got to be really kind of smart with. And so I think the challenge for us has been, how do we find ways of growing and scaling to the next level while staying independent, which means low to no debt? How do we finance that growth without taking on debt or equity partners that would maybe start to shift, what matters to us most? So we're competitive. We want to grow fast at times, or faster, I should say, but we don't want to lose our independence, and we also don't want to burn out our people. So I think the challenge on the business side is like, how do we keep our ambition, our aspirations in check and strike this balance? Because we also don't want to be a company that leans on a family-like culture and speaks those values, but then tolerates mediocre performance on the results side. And I think that's one of the things we are always learning. And it shows up in how we lead and manage people, and balancing the message of caring for people and also creating an environment of accountability and performance. And those have been probably the toughest things for us to wrestle with and it's really a question, like, can we truly care about people genuinely, helping them thrive in all areas of their life, and also not have any compromising or not compromise on standards of performance? And when those things are off, can we see people beyond the organization in a way that they leave feeling cared for, but we also made the right business or management performance decision as well? And that's, every situation is unique, but I think that's probably the messiest, toughest one that we're working towards. But we had a conversation recently, which was, we're tempted to say, well, you just can't have that. So you just have to accept that, these situations will go this way. But instead, we'll never get to where we want to go unless we believe it's possible. So we have kind of put the standard for ourselves, which is that we can do it. It's possible. It might be hard and we're going to miss, but let's not lower the standard. We're going to make sure people feel loved and cared for as people, and we're not going to compromise on performance. And yes, sometimes, a person may not finish their career here, and we are going to do it in such a way that they leave feeling loved and cared for. And we won't bat 1,000, but we're hoping to bat well above the average.
That is such a beautiful answer. And what a great question for anyone listening to be able to kind of wrestle with, because I feel like a lot of people start to think that way, right? Especially when it comes to their people. And I know a lot of leaders, unfortunately, they've experienced some entitlement in the organization. So then that kind of creeps in, and then you're like, wait, is it possible? But without that belief that it's possible, obviously we're not motivated to try to make that work. And so, but with the right team and having those open conversations with people and kind of doing it together, there is a way. It is done, and we know that, and we see that. But it, like you said, it's the harder way. And I think that's why it's so easy for people to compromise on what it is that they really do want to build. And you used a word that I love and hate, mediocrity. Mediocre. We don't want to work for a mediocre company. We don't want to sit in mediocrity. I mean, there's no fun in that. We want to strive to grow and to be better. And as long as we're doing that, then I feel like you can't even sit in that place of mediocre. You're just continually growing and getting better. So, and when you create that kind of culture too, it's the people that aren't meant to be there, who are okay and comfortable at mediocre, it's not meant for them. And so it can be challenging to let some of those people go because they're wonderful and you can care about them, but send them off to go do something else. So yeah, it's a lot of challenges, especially as you're growing. You have, over 100 and you have about 120 people in the organization?
Yeah, about 120. And I think one thing that may be helpful is for me recognizing that, and actually there's an author, Jason Jaggard, who I think wrote it this particular way. He said, if you really care about somebody, you'll care about their degree of ownership. And it relates to Matthew Kelly's book, The Rhythm of Life. He begins that book talking about choice. And I think for me, a big learning has been that, to show somebody I really care about them is not to try and protect them. It's to continually look back to them and say, hey, what is your choice here? You have a degree of ownership. And somebody might be in a season of life where it's not that they won't ever continue on this path of becoming a better version of themselves, but it just might not be right now. And that's okay. And it also might mean that they can't work here right now, and that's going to be okay too. And we'll support them, but just kind of giving permission to say, hey, this person has agency and some ownership, whether they see it now or not, and continue to try and point them to that, because sometimes parting ways is actually an important milestone in their journey. And it's not a sentence, that determines their future. I think that's really helped put some of these tougher situations with people in perspective. And I hope that people kind of hear that along the way. But to that point about becoming a better version of themselves, that's one thing I loved most, or felt challenged by Matthew Kelly on, that kind of intrigued me about the Dream Manager, which is that organization can't become the best version of itself unless it's helping its people become the best version of themselves. And that was just like a gut punch that like totally upended how I thought about everything we're doing with our culture.
Yeah. So simple, right? Isn't he? He's
simple.
So good at sharing the simplest things, but you're like, oh, but so powerful.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, he has a gift, that man. So before we dig into Dream Manager, talk to us a little bit about what are some of the things that you love and what are some things that are challenging around leading a family-owned business. I mean, it's you, your brother-in-law, your sister, your dad. There's just a lot of family that you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely raises the bar, in terms of like being the same person everywhere, so at work, at home, like there's no getting away. It definitely also kind of raised the bar on work-life balance as well, where there's transparency at work and at home. But I ultimately love it. I think with family businesses, I think when it works, which it doesn't always, it is one of the most beautiful things and opportunities. And also I'm aware that like sometimes it just doesn't work and it's okay. And I think Andy and I, especially in our process of coming into the business, we just agreed at some point early on. We said, you know what, if anything came between us, we would protect our relationship first, even if the business was coming in between. And there was this sense of like, we'd both be willing to do that neither one of us is going to put the business before. And I think that was just was a right kind of order of priorities to just like get that on the table. And I think it helps how to navigate. The other thing that was really helpful with family and just roles in general, because I also work with people I consider best friends. We have, I think 5 or 6 married couples on our staff that work in different roles. So like, it just has become, this community. And what's helped me is just reminding like, all right, what hat are we wearing? What role? Like I might wear a few different hats within some of these relationships. And in certain situations, you just got to know what hat is on. And there's definitely risk of things becoming messier, but I found that like those kinds of boundaries, using that hat metaphor, has been really helpful to navigate. And I think it's worth making it go if there's that foundational kind of alignment around values. Because nothing makes me happier than getting to work with one of my best friends, Andy, who's also my brother-in-law. And then, my dad now and sister in the Dream Manager capacity has been just, I think a surprising just joy that I don't know if any of us saw coming.
Aww. Well, let's talk about the Dream Manager because we're so excited. You have many Dream Managers over there. And tell us a little bit about what prompted you to, really what inspired you to want to implement the program for your people?
Well, one of my now friends, but I consider him a business mentor, is Tim Suter. And he is, and maybe he considers himself was, a 3rd generation business owner as well. He sold his company to an ESOP. So his company is now 100% employee owned. He did that a few years ago. And I met Tim in 2020 through C12, a business peer group for Christian owners and CEOs. And he had implemented this Dream Manager program, and I thought it was incredible. And I just have respected how he's run his business and the impact that he's been able to have. And so I was really inspired by him. And then I also came across the Dream Manager book at Strategic Coach, which is a quarterly entrepreneurs workshop that I'm a part of. And I started to I read the book, and then I also learned that Matthew Kelly wrote this book that was also kind of the origin story. It was a company that was founded by an entrepreneur that also was in Strategic Coach, and these things kind of aligned. And in one of those workshops, I was thinking about, how do we make an impact? And so I started checking out this program, listened to every podcast, YouTube story available, just trying to get my head wrapped around this program. And that quote that I shared earlier around Matthew Kelly, an organization can only become the best version of itself. It's helping people become the best version of themselves, just really struck a chord with me. And so I started to talk with Andy about it, people on our team, and slowly but surely got enough buy-in for me to check it out and experiment it. So I ended up checking it out by going to get certified myself. I think it was 2 years ago. And once I was certified, then I was like, all right, what do we do next year? So we had a dreamstorming session. Tony from your team came out. And even at that point, people were like, what are we talking about here with dreams and this and that? Seems like a crazy idea. But through the dreamstorming, and just once I had 5 people kind of starting to go through it, we started to realize like, okay, no, there's something here. And so it's just really grown and expanded from there. And looking back on it this last year or two, I'm just so grateful for this program and the work, because it just aligns perfectly with our passion of investing, rewarding, and giving. And it's unique. And it's really just expanded, what we believe is possible, like within the impact we can have on people. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's so fun. And you just like dig into all the things. It's so cool that you're involved in all these different things that really help you grow as a leader, which is inspiring. It's so important to do that, especially when you implement this kind of, you're helping your people become better versions of themselves. And obviously as the leader of an organization, it's constant growth and improvement and putting yourself in rooms of other like-minded leaders that are running businesses that have the same challenges, and you're able to kind of be in community with them. It was awesome because you and I are both involved in C12. And so we got to connect, which I always love meeting our dream managers in person. These kinds of programs are they're so life-giving. They really just help us grow in so many different areas, and especially around the community of people. With the Dream Manager, so you have, different people on your team that got certified. It's so cool. What have you seen so far? You've been doing this for about 1.5 years. What's the impact it's had so far on your people, on the culture?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories was a guy on our team. He jumped into the Dream Manager program, and he actually had the dream of his long-term dream. You have 4 target dreams you work through in the first 12 sessions. So his 5+ year dream was to start a family. And, in the process, you build out, all right, what are the steps? What's the dream, the dates? And he was just working backwards. And an important step in starting a family was, really deciding who he wanted to start a family with. And he had a relationship and they were long distance. And so there wasn't a ton of urgency around this 5+ year dream. It was 5+ years out. But in the course of conversations, working through the curriculum, it dawned on him that perhaps this 5+ year dream, could be sooner, or even if it's going to happen with 5 years, he's got maybe some decisions to make around this relationship. And we had a session, and I left that session. Ironically, I actually stopped by my sister's house, and I remember just sharing with her, because I was already trying to kind of sell around the Dream Manager program because I thought she might be a good fit. And I was like, I did this Dream Manager session today, and I just told her, I said, hey, it's like, I just wrapped up. I'm pretty sure he's going to leave. Like, he's going to move from Chicago to California. And it's going to be because he's decided he does love this person and he wants to give a go at this. And it's a big change, but like, I don't know. I just have this feeling like he used the word breakthrough in the session. Like, hey, I think there was a bit of a breakthrough here. And sure enough, he actually didn't tell me directly, but I found out, so-and-so's resigned. I was like, well, I know exactly what that's about. And so organizationally, it was kind of a disruptive, like, oh, what's happening here? We thought everything was great. I was like, well, I'm respecting confidences here. I'm going to talk with him, make sure this is okay to share, but I'm pretty sure this is a great thing. Yes, we lost an awesome employee, but what's better than losing an awesome employee for love, who's pursuing his dream and is moving across the country? And so he's working for a different water treatment company that we're all so friendly with. And we continue to do our Dream Manager sessions throughout the year, even though his employment had changed. And it was just this like tangible example of, gosh, these relationships, yes, they are conditional. There's a business, there's an employment dynamic, but man, if you're looking for it, it can go so much beyond that. And even his direct manager, when talking with him and saying, hey, I'm sorry, like, I know this is disruptive. Because the joke was like, why are we doing this Dream Manager program? this is supposed to help us retain people, not lose people. And, his direct manager, who's one of our like rock stars, he just like gets it. He didn't even miss a beat. He's like, yes, I'm bummed. I love this guy. And he's like, but this is what we're all about. And it was just the perfect example. And it inspired me and just kind of like reaffirmed that this somewhat crazy idea of like talking about dreams and doing this coaching, it's totally worth it. And it reminded me of what Tim Suter had said, which was, of all the things that Tim has done in his business to impact people's lives, and they do extraordinary things to care for their employees. He said the number one thing that has like been the best investment has been the Dream Manager. And when he said that, I had Andy on the phone because I was trying to sell him on the idea at the time, and he respects Tim. That's like, I think what clicked for Andy was like, if Tim says this is the best investment he's made, then like, okay, let's give it a go. And so that story of an employee kind of leaving, making such a big change was just probably one of my favorites so far. And it has only been like a year and a half, I guess. So there's a lot more and a lot more to come.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What an incredible story. I love love. That's just like so sweet. That is amazing.
And there's more. I mean, there's some breakthrough from addiction. There's health, there's financial progress being made. I mean, for those that aren't familiar with the Dream Manager program, you are talking about dreams, and that provides this like direction. But what I love about the Dream Manager program is the rhythm of life and the holistic kind of well-being curriculum that goes along with it. It just prompts really thoughtful conversations where, when I reflected with dreamers down the year, there were the things they wanted to do and dreams they pursued that they made progress on. And then there was a bunch of other like strategic byproducts, I think is actually, something Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach says, but there's all these extras around that you don't really anticipate going into it that are just, when added up, are just really powerful.
Yeah, I know. We have to really always remind people of the new content that people are being fed every month, because man, that book, I mean, it's one of the best parts of being a dream manager is when you get to talk to your dreamer about, okay, you read this section in the book. What is the one piece that resonated with you the most? And what I always find fascinating is you could have 6 sessions in a day, and each of those people are going to share a different section or different phrase or quote from the book in the same section.
Yeah,
that spoke to them depending on where they are in their life. Yeah, it's so powerful. You have also achieved some personal dreams on your side that are very exciting, and you're working on some things. How has the program really impacted you as an individual, as a leader, as a father, as a husband?
Yeah. When I was checking out the Dream Manager program and got trained, my wife and I, we did not have any kids yet. And that was probably one of our biggest dreams. We had an extended period of trying for kids longer than we wanted to. And that was such a personal kind of transforming period of time, that those 5 years. And so that was one of my early dreams that really just, I think I remember it was October, and the following month, I think we realized we were pregnant. And I remember sharing at the Dream Manager certification, like, some of our story, my wife and I's. And so right out of the gates, like that was just a huge momentum kind of pickup. And I was really struck by something Tony had said at the dreamstorming session where, sometimes dreams, we stop dreaming because it feels impossible, or your dreams are crushed, or, something happens and it's just maybe not in the cards. And he said, the better question to ask then is, what are our dreams now? And that line of thinking has really just kind of inspired me, especially for those that are like turned off from dreaming because they're afraid of the letdown when something you really want, maybe isn't going to happen. But for my wife and I, we're so grateful that ultimately we do have our daughter, Audrey, now, and she's about to turn 1 year old. So that was like one major dream that like almost just like right out of the gates was super uplifting. But I jumped into the Dream Manager program, not only as like a certified dream manager, but I also wanted to get coached by a dream manager. So I've been meeting with Jen. We are in the year 2 program now. And so some of the other dreams I've been pursuing around my physical health, had some dreams to do some Ironman triathlons. So last year completed an Ironman 70.3. in the midst of a lot going on, and that was a big win. And then this year, the dream is to complete a full Ironman in Chattanooga, Tennessee in September. So Andy and I are actually training for that together. So that's a big kind of 12-month dream. Also planning to take a 4-week vacation, which is something I've really longed to do for a while for a number of reasons. And so that's coming up here in August. So we're really excited about that.
That's just crazy, but I love it. I love it. I just think it's so cool. Like that to me is like one of those fitness dreams that is, I mean, you have to be serious about it with all the training that I can only imagine a training that you have to do to be able to do a triathlon like that.
In Jen, in our Dream Manager session, that's helped me see that like, oh, this, you talk about how are you doing physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And one thing she helped me realize is that in intellectual, it's about learning. And I realized that like, oh, this hobby of triathlons that I've developed is really meeting a core need to like learn. And so like I've learned how to swim and improve, or learned how to bike outside, or I'm learning how to fuel my body to operate for 7 hours or 12 hours. And so it's a fun fitness challenge, but I think it's also an intellectual challenge, and it's like a hobby. And I've come to like the program, maybe I would have done this regardless, but I think in the Dream Manager curriculum, it's helped me appreciate like, oh, why is this so positive or impactful for me? And so that's just like one of those like extra kind of benefits from going through it.
Yeah. Ooh, a bonus. And what a mindset. What a mental toughness exercise to be able to train in that way, and then to be able to accomplish something like that, and being able to push your body in that type of way. But I love the intellectual side of it, because it is, I mean, I've been big into fitness for a long time. And so when you really get into like learning about, okay, what else can I do? What are some gains that I can get? What are some different ways to approach my physical fitness? And so it's kind of fun to think through not only what that does for you physically, but everything that we do and improve in one area of our life, it spills over into other areas of our lives.
Yes.
That is something we don't necessarily think about, but if you really looked at everything that you were doing, there is a correlation between those things. And so it helps people to be more intentional. So I love that Jen helped you make that correlation, because then you'll start to, I'm sure you've already started to see how it is in other areas of your life. And then you get to help other people recognize that as well.
Yes, all of that. Because I think you might say, like, oh, Reid, you were going to do this anyways, or whatever. But like, you talk through things with friends and family, but with the Dream Manager, for a season, like there's something really powerful about the structure and the format of the sessions, where 1 hour a month, you have the time and attention of somebody who's really just exclusively trying to like reflect back to you and help you make these connections you wouldn't otherwise see. And yeah, it either helps you stay on track for your goals, achieve more than what you think is possible, or just understand like why this works, which then, things with other people start to make sense. And I feel like I've become a better listener. I ask better questions. I'm like less judgmental. I feel like at times where, I can appreciate, doing these Dream Manager sessions that, people need to go at their own pace. They need to make their own choices, and they need to make the connections themselves. And so sometimes a well-formed or well-timed question is what they need, not somebody giving them advice. And you learn all about that becoming a certified Dream Manager. But I also hear from people that are in the Dream Manager program, I feel like you also pick that up. And that's where this program is just like perfectly placed within our culture. I think it's helping supercharge our relationships. It's increasing, I think, the emotional IQ of the team as well, which, none of it is like directly professional focused, but it has a way of coming back around. And in the long term, I think it is truly good for the business as well as just for people.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So if there's somebody listening that is not certified, and they run a company, or maybe they lead a team and they've been thinking about the Dream Manager and not quite sure, what advice would you give to that person?
Everyone kind of figures these things out themselves. I've had a few people reach out and say, hey, can you tell us about your experience? So we meet for 30 minutes and just kind of share. For me, I think checking out the podcast, if you're listening to this, you may already see that, but looking at the stories and just understanding that the curriculum and the format, it can be delivered in a wide range of ways. So Tim Suter, I think the Suter company at this point has 4 full-time dream managers, like crazy. But they also have, several hundred, employees, and that kind of works there. For us, we have 4 dream managers, all part-time, 2, myself, and then Tia, our HR director, are certified dream managers, and then 2 people outside the company, my dad and sister. And so we've been experimenting with this format of a few dream managers, coaching a few people. But for myself, like if you're an owner operator and you're kind of wired to like just dive right in, I think, the just jumping in and figuring out when can you attend the dream manager certification, like every question I had is pretty much answered there or in the monthly kind of group coaching along the way. And then also being open to just get coached yourself, regardless of your role, because then you have firsthand experience with the program. And I think for me, that's been helpful to then like deeply understand what it is and figure out how it's going to fit best within, our unique, culture and organization. So everyone at Floyd's been amazing to work with. And so super accessible, easy to talk with, super encouraging. And then, if you do launch this program, I would strongly encourage doing a dreamstorming session. And if you've got a larger team, for us, we brought in Tony, who did a dreamstorming session. We had 150 people in the dreamstorming session. We did it at our annual Christmas party. We had most of our employees and about half our employees brought significant others or spouses. And it was a really powerful hour and a half, and it jump-started the whole program. So those are some kind of tidbits for people that are, curious about the program, thinking about what it could look like to implement.
Awesome. I love that you also invited the spouses to come along for the Dreamstorm, because that is something that we see. Oftentimes, our clients will come into a session and they'll say they're doing the program and they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, I was so excited to go home and tell my husband or my wife about what I'm talking about and what we're doing. And they bring that information over to them. So for them to actually be able to experience a Dreamstorm like that and get a deeper understanding of what it is. But like you said, when you're in it, it's obviously different, right? Like you really do experience everything. The Dreamstorm is a nice overview of, all right, what is this program? Why do dreams even matter? And is this like, what is this even for?
Yes. And one cool story that came out of that, because we did that session, because we had spouses come, actually one of our employees, his spouse had joined, and she was impacted by the dreamstorming session. It prompted her to think about what she really wanted out of life, and especially out of her work. She ended up, I don't know if she had already left her job or decided to after that dreamstorming session, but she then applied for one of the roles at our company in the HR team. She's now been with us for a little over a year and is just like one of our best team members. Specifically focuses also within HR on recruiting and hiring process. And it really was because this connection that she had at our summit Christmas party event with the Dreamstorm, but then also what she was seeing about her husband's experience while working here, even prior to the Dream Manager program. And it's hard for me to imagine our team without her. And I don't know if that would have happened unless we did that. And it's just kind of another beautiful little story that, unintended, that kind of came out of doing this whole thing.
Oh man, talk about a great attraction tool for employees, right? I mean, when people actually know, you could put anything you want on your website, or you can say, oh, we have a great culture. But when someone experiences a great culture and they get to meet the people in the organization who are talking about the culture, that is what really impacts people. And they're like, wait a second, do you have any roles open? Because that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for us, like the Dream Manager program has been a wonderful opportunity for us to like say that our people and culture matters, not by more words, but like by our actions and like the actual results. It's something concrete. And then, we believe it's not only to help us bring in more people that align with our mission, vision, values, but also for our clients. I think, for us in a service type industry, the client experience is with the people that they're interacting with on a daily basis. And so like, we truly believe it's caring for our coworkers, but it flows through from a business strategy to our clients. And there's something different when you meet somebody who's truly engaged, who's thriving beyond work and has like the resources and capacity to, just go above and beyond. Because I think we know like that there's just a lot of places where that just isn't the norm. And so it becomes a really, unique differentiator where otherwise people are just kind of paying it lip service. So for us, that's become really important to do that with integrity.
Well, thank you for all that you're doing as a people forward leader, as someone who cares about culture and building a great company, helping your people thrive, and the work that you're doing at, like you said, in your piece of the world, the impact that you're making. You can tell how passionate you are and everything that you have going on. So thank you for sharing your story, Reid. This was so much fun to be able to get to spend some time with you. And I know that the listeners have to be inspired because some of those dreams are just so cool. And maybe someone that's listening is thinking, oh, I've been talking about doing a triathlon. I've been talking about doing something to up my fitness. And whether it's a triathlon, a marathon, something that you have been talking about, thinking about, but it might feel a little too hard. Maybe this is a little push to do just that.
Yep. Well, thanks, Kate. It's been a lot of fun. And thanks for listening and for inviting me to share, our story so far.
Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely have you come back on in the next a year from now or so, and we'll hear even more dreams that are being achieved over there.
I'd love that.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I always love talking to our dream managers and sharing their stories. I just love the stories he shared. If you're not inspired by one of those stories, I don't know what is going to inspire you, because it's so cool to hear people share their dreams, share other people's dreams, and then when they achieve those dreams, especially when people didn't believe it's possible. And when you have a coach, when you have a dream manager there supporting you, encouraging you, guiding you, and then you actually achieve that dream, there's just nothing better. So if you lead a team and you're interested in learning more about the Dream Manager, please reach out to us. We would love to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, lead with culture.